What are we missing? Um, why are we so disconnected? Let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever experienced loneliness in your life? And if you don't want to share private or confidential things, that's fine. But have you ever had that experience of loneliness? Difference between loneliness and solitude. And we'll touch on that. We touched upon it a little bit last time, but we'll go deeper into it. Loneliness might be something that is a byproduct of some lack. You constantly want some reciprocation or love from this world, but you're not getting it. But solitude is different. Solitude is a time you take to connect with yourself. And it's very, although the externalities are the same, you are sitting in a room by yourself, but the dynamics of the situation is completely different. Mother Teresa made this point. She said, if you have an illness of the body, it can be cured by medicine. But the illness of loneliness, only love can cure it. And it is true, she said, it's true that there's a lot of people in this world who are dying and hungry for a slice of bread. But it is true that there's many more people who are dying for some genuine love. And even in their friendships, they're feeling some disconnect there. That's interesting because you think like, oh, my parents I don't like. But the friendships, I choose them myself. So what's wrong with that? But even in their friendships, they're not satisfied. They're just kind of like going along. And funny thing that I thought of is that, we're so busy taking selfies. We have so much time for taking selfies. Every 5 minutes, you take a selfie, right? But there's not even half the time that is spent on self-awareness. And it actually shows, you think the selfie is you, right? We have a very superficial relationship with ourselves. How do I look? Okay, this selfie is not good. Let me just put some filters on it and fix it.
Just pure vanity.
Pure vanity. It's such a subconscious thing, just like, because it's not that people are bad. It's just that our society, our education has brought us up in such a superficial way. We have a superficial relationship with us. So that's why we like to take selfies and post them. Because that's me. It's a selfie. We have no time for self-development. And self-development is very important. Like kind of the thing that you said, that takes some time to cut off. Because knowledge, education, university gives you pride, gives you fame, but it doesn't give you courage. Where do you find the courage to face the challenges of life? Where do you find the courage to deal with the calamities of life? That courage comes from studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, those ancient texts that I've kind of shared with all of you. These books are there to give you some courage. There are so many things medicines can solve, money can solve, job can solve, but those are just like temporary problems. Real challenges of life, when you're faced with life and death, when you're faced with losing your son or mother or father, like something very deep, then you need courage. Or when you're faced with a challenge that's completely out of your control, things are going to happen to you and you can't control what goes on. You need courage. That courage comes from studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is what is missing in our lifestyle today. We have education, we have money, we have facilities, sometimes not like today, but we don't have any courage to deal with problems. And it's so, what's going on? What is missing in our lives? And I love what you said about, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to take some time to build a healthy relationship with myself. And it's kind of like all of us need to do that. I want to take some time, put a stop, and build a healthy relationship with ourselves. The difference between loneliness and solitude is the difference in the direction of our consciousness. Think about that point in a deep sense, because if we are outwardly focused, right, we're always wanting to go out to find ourselves. Think about the activities of your life. Like, let me throw a word at you, validation. How important is that to you for knowing your self-worth? Someone appreciating you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Like, look, the boss says you did a great job. Suddenly you feel like, I'm smart. You can see that it takes conscious effort. And that's why I said, difference between loneliness and solitude is the direction of your consciousness. The disconnect we feel with the people around us or the world around us is a reflection of the disconnect we feel with ourselves. Very deep level, we're disconnected with ourselves, which is why we're feeling so disconnected with the world around us. So we can surround ourselves with people, but those people are outside of us and they can't fill the gap we feel inside. And what we do is we just blame those people. This relationship is not working, we need to break up. It, it's not that the person can fill the gap that you are feeling in your heart. Because understand that this is a material body. It's range of perception. Like, I cannot feel what your eyes feel. You may look at him and I may look at him and we may see completely different realities. We may have completely different feelings, completely different feelings. It depends. Our perception is actually a product of our consciousness. If we're sitting here, I'm saying something, you might be like, wow, this is exciting. You might be like, oh, this is boring. You might be like, this is cathartic. You know, it's not that I'm saying all things with all those intentions, but what people perceive is based on what their consciousness is at. So it's not that the absolute truth is varied, it's just that the people's consciousness is varied too. Hence, a lot of focus in bhakti, in yoga, is on how to clean our consciousness. Just like if your body is dirty, you need to clean it, right? If you have a wound, you need to put medicine on it. If you don't bathe, there's going to be a smell. Similarly, when we don't bathe our consciousness, we don't clean up, there's a smell that comes from our consciousness. That smell is manifested as loneliness, depression, anger, frustration, all these varieties of incompleteness we feel in this world. But these different varieties of incompleteness in our lives are actually due to our disconnection with the supreme source. We're disconnected. Like my plants outside, right? I'm so worried about them because I can look at them, I can play good music for them, I can do all kind of things for them. But if I'm not going to give them water in the next few hours, they're not going to like it. They're going to die, right? So same way with ourselves. You can get a good house, you can get good money, you can get good, all kind of things. But if the soul, if the consciousness is not watered in the proper way, it will be disconnected. Why are we working so hard? Do we need to work so hard for our needs or for our greed? That's a question we have to ask. Like, do we really need that much? And I can share with you an example from my life that I never forgot, actually. But it's a very profound lesson. I was working hard and I felt that everything that I had, I was not just felt, it was like a fact. Nobody could tell me that I don't need to do all this because I was convinced in every which way that this is it. But life gave me an opportunity to step away from it and actually see that I don't need all this. And the word the Bhagavad Gita uses is superfluous. These externalities are superfluous to our existence. No matter how rich you are, the size of your stomach is around this much, the size of your fist, a little bit big. I'm not a doctor, but maybe a little bigger or smaller. So how much can you stuff in this? Think about it. How much can you stuff in it? No matter how rich you are, how much space can you occupy while sleeping? And then you get attached to that spot, right? It's hard for you to shift over. The richer you are, harder it is for you to part with what you have. We need tools to convert loneliness into solitude. It doesn't just happen at the snap of a finger. I'm going to make a choice. That's great. That's step one. But step two is you need tools to be able to understand that, which is where spiritual texts like, say, Bhagavad Gita, that we'll kind of look at a little bit today, they come in handy because they give you wisdom. And solitude is that space in which you can apply those life lessons and reflect on them.